Good evening and welcome to the Farmview Hotel here in Busia County. Now, the devolved unit is very critical. It is a gateway of a trade between Kenya and the Great Lake region, hosts the 4th edition of the Transgenerational Conversation that seeks to understand why a section of the populace feel that they are not involved in serious discourse such as governance and socio-economic issues. And of course, this opportunity we had talking to the people of Busia this morning. We have sampled some of their views and we'll be sharing them with you in due course during this particular program. For now, our audience are currently seated, and as always, they will have the opportunity to interact with our panel of experts who are drawn from various fields. Remember that this session is exclusively live on KBC Channel 1, courtesy of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, the Korean International Cooperation Agency, KOICAM, as well as the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Other key stakeholders who are here in this particular room is the National Government Administration officers who are currently being represented by the Deputy County Commissioner who acts as the County Commissioner of Busia, Mr. Solomon, and of course we'll be engaging him, as well as the County Government of Busia. For now, from wherever you're watching us from, talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 using the hashtag Amanikwa Ground, and we'll sample some of the views as the session continues. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. I'll be your moderator this evening, and however, I'm not alone.
Mwenzangu Abdiaziz Hashim ni kwamba hayuko peke yake. Hujambo popote pale ulipo, na bila shaka tulianzia katika kaunti ya Marsabit, tukaelekea katika kaunti ya Nairobi, na wiki jana tulikuwa katika kaunti ya Kisumu, na leo hii mtazamaji ni zamu ya kaunti ya Busia. Mazungumzo baina ya vizazi yanang'oananga sasa hivi, na bila shaka huwa tunasema kwamba mazungumzo si kamilifu bila sauti ya mwananchi. Katika upande huu wa pili nitakuwa ninawapa wananchi fursa ya kuzungumza, na hivyo basi wachangie katika mjadala huu ikiwa wana swali lolote au mchango wote. Hivyo basi ikiwa una swali lako utakuwa unainua mkono, na wakati utafika nitakuwa nakupa fursa kuuliza swali. Karibu sana mtazamaji. Jina langu ni Nancy Okware, lakini kwa sasa na urejeshe usukani kwake Abdiaziz Hashim.
Thank you, Kware, and welcome to the 4th edition of the Transgenerational Conversation, live from the Farmview Hotel here in Busia County. Panel this evening consists of, let me start on the furthest end, Reverend Mariam Khamisi. She is the NCCK board member. She is a reverend based here in Busia County, an advocate for children aged between 3 years and above through church programs. Reverend, karibu sana. Next to the Reverend is Boniface Okumu. He is the chairperson of Busia County Boda Association. He is a youth representative in Busia County Transport and Safety Committee that is shaping county policies, as well as the member of the County Climate Steering Committee. Welcome, Sana Boniface.
Thank you.
Next to Boniface, we do have Sarah Martha. She is the executive director of Thamira Moja. She is a board member of the Busia County Referral Hospital and Okame Technical and Vocational College. She is the founder of Dada Advocacy Foundation that is empowering teenage mothers and survivors of gender-based violence. Sarah, karibu sana. And of course, as always, we need to have a representative from the NCIC. This evening, we do have James Wanyande. He is the NCIC Director, Investigations and Compliance. He is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, specializing in cyber law, governance, and human rights. He also leads in national efforts against hate speech, discrimination, and incitement to violence. Thank you, James, for joining us this evening. And maybe you can kickstart this particular conversation. We have been, as my colleague has ably stated, that is Nancy Okware, we have been to Marsabit, we have been to Nairobi, we have been to Kisumu. Have this talk achieved the intended purpose yet?
Thank you, Abby, for the question. Yes, as you have stated, this is the 4th conversation that we're having as a commission. The first was in Marsabit, then we went to Nairobi, Kisumu, and now Busia. But Abby, I think it's a bit too early to say whether it's having the intended consequence, the intended objective. But as a commission, we intend for us to develop a policy paper that will turn all the ideas and voices that are being shared, not just in Busia, but across the country, into an actionable framework with timelines and budgets that will hold different institutions accountable to be able to achieve what the residents of the country have resolved.
And Sarah, you're an advocate of peace as well, aside from the various civil society organizations that you represent, as well as the human rights violations that we witnessed even last year that you keep in tandem with. But you do know that on the 21st of September, it was the International Peace Day. And of course, the theme of that particular day was Act Now for a Peaceful World. I want to ask you, is this country peaceful?
I would say that yes and no, depending with geographical location where different people are found. If I bring it in the context of Busia, there are times that we are very peaceful. We are a very peaceful county, but there are also times that we are not peaceful. And these incidences of not being peaceful have been enabled by different inequalities, especially inequalities directed to the young people. The young people have not been made to be the center of the conversation around peace. And this has made them not have a voice when it comes to issues of peace, because they make the most of the population of the young people here. Here in Busia, we have different, it's a county of different dynamics, being that it is a cross-border county. And so we have all the demographics, and we need to put the young people at the center of peace dialogues and peace initiatives, because if we do not empower young people with opportunities, then somebody else will empower them with ideologies.
Okay. And Boniface, given that you're a representative for a very big sector that contributes millions of shillings in this country and has over 1 million members across, not only in Busia, but across the country, but in terms of contributing to realization of a peaceful world, what have you done as a leader in that sector?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me start by, first of all, recognizing the fact that you thought it well to bring this great conversation closer to young people and generations, all sets of generation. Let me start by saying also that this is the type of conversation we have always admired. And to my opinion, I think that this type of conversation, if we would have brought this type of conversation a bit earlier, maybe even the Gen Z demonstration could not have taken place. As being a good history student, I understand that this type of conversation, the generational conversation, it is the foundation of the developing countries and the most developed countries. We need this type of conversation for social coexistence, for political stability. We need this type of conversation for development sustainability. We need this type of conversation because when you sit together with a set of generation, this is the only conversation that will allow now the flow of information, the flow of knowledge from the older generation to the younger generation. We need to learn a lot of things from the older generation, as well as the older generation need to learn a lot of things from the younger generation, so that they can now get to understand them better. You see, as the generation grows, it is also accompanied with some changes that the older generation need to understand for us to coexist. This type of generation, this type of conversation is also very, very important, especially when it comes to, especially we need to use this type of platform, especially to engage the county government and the national government so as to have a discussion on various policies and, of course, various issues of governance. And you realize that even during the Gen Z demonstration, one of the most vibrant issues that was brought up was the lack of structures and good governance. So if we have a proper transgenerational conversation, then it means we are also going to have economic growth, not only for the country, but also for those of us, the young people, the mamambogas, the bodabodas. I'm talking about those especially at the bottom of the economic pyramid.
Okay. And Reverend, you've heard what Boniface and Sarah, as well as the director, is contributing to some of the underlying issues that led to the scenes that we witnessed last year and this year. In terms of the church role, given that you have a voice that not only the Gen Zs listen to, all the generations listens to the church. So in terms of creating that gap between these generations and the older ones, what has the church done about it?
Yeah, the church is very much aware of what the Gen Zs are doing, but now we preach in our churches about faith and about love. And also we preach about we should not be vigilant. But when it reaches time for preaching, some take the notes and others don't take the message. So those that don't take a message, we have to pray hard in our country to pray for them so that they can get the right message and they avoid doctrine teachings that cannot bring peace to the country as well as our Busia County. So the church, as a representative of fellow leaders, I just call upon them that we should come all together, despite the different faith, but we should all come together to fight these things that can bring violence to our families, poverty, lack of knowledge, so we can achieve peaceful and have a peaceful country and county.
And let me come back to the director. Director, there's something interesting that Boniface has said, that if these talks were held last year, even before the Gen Z demonstrations, we will not have witnessed what we witnessed last year. So is this exercise a little bit too late?
It's never too late to have conversations. Even where there are countries that are embroiled in war, at some point in time, they always come together, call a ceasefire, and have discussions. Therefore, I think it's imperative that we have these talks so that we can find solutions in a time where there's no crisis, where there's no pressure, so to speak. So it's the right time to have this conversation, especially with the forthcoming elections and with the by-elections that are coming up in the next few months. It's important that we have these discussions, that we're able to concretize ideas, concretize solutions, and we're able to action by the specific institutions that have the responsibility to action them. So it is not too late, Abdi. Yes.
So, Sarah, in terms of reaching that particular goal, what you have just brought out in terms of realizing a better governance, because that is what many, not only Gen Zs, but other generations in this country are yearning for. So in terms of the first step, what should be that first step that will ensure us for a better governance?
The first step, we will agree that what has been missing, the missing link has been the involvement, deliberate involvement and participation of the young people. Having the voice of the young people on the table where decisions are being made. Because we know right now, being that we are a border county, radicalization just happens in a click. And so if we do not take the opportunity to change that narrative and engage our young people, listen to them, because the issue has been, we are not listening. They are trying to speak, they are trying to raise their issues, the issues of inequalities, the issues of lack of employment, but it seems like no one is listening, and that one is making them feel like no one cares. So for us to be able to bridge that gap, we need to have deliberate conversations, and not just conversations in boardrooms, because peace is not achieved in boardrooms. Peace is achieved direct from home, straight from home, in schools, at places where these people converge, in churches where these young people go to for spiritual nourishment. So we really need to move away from the traditional way of engaging and having boardroom meetings and having these conventions talking about peace, but bring it to the ground. Involve the community directly. Involve the affected community directly. Let them speak and say what exactly they want. Because I believe, as a young person, we have the solutions. Yeah.
And what if it's moving to you, in terms of creating that cohesion, we want to see not only Busia interacting with their neighboring counties, but the country at large, even our neighboring country that is Uganda. But in terms of what your sector can play, because you have millions of border riders under this particular association across the country. So in terms of reaching that cohesion and bridging the gap between the Gen Zs, your generation itself, and the bloomers, so what will be the first step?
Thank you so much. Border plays a very critical role in various ways. Boda Boda plays a very critical role, especially when it comes to employment. Boda Boda is an extensive value chain that has employed so many people, both directly and also indirectly. And it's also true that when people are employed, people are busy, minds are engaged, and therefore youth might not get the opportunity or rather the luxury to engage into other criminal activities. As I said earlier, Boda Boda sector being an extensive value chain, it has employed so many people, right from the motorbike dealers, the spare part vendors, the mechanic, and so many others. As you said earlier, Boda Boda plays a very critical role, especially when it comes to the economy of this country. It contributes to almost 4.4 billion. That's a lot of money. And one thing we've been requesting from the government is because we realize that this is a very critical sector, but the government is not taking this sector very serious. Now, just allow me within just a second, 2 minutes, to do some simple calculations in 30 seconds. A simple calculation in a layman's language, so that the Boda Bodas that are really watching me from the social media, those that are watching me live on a television, and also those that are seated here, for every liter of a fuel that the Boda Boda consumes at a petrol station, 45% goes to the government. So the calculation here is, for instance, the liter goes at around 180 shillings. So it means for every liter that a Boda Boda consumes, 80 shillings goes to the government. So within one day, a Boda Boda uses around 3 liters. Let me bring it down to around 2 liters. So the Boda Boda contributes to the government around 160 shillings in a day. So in around a year, let's multiply by around 300 days, the Boda Boda contributes around 40,000 to the government. We are
I will come back to you, don't worry. We want to involve the sounds that we collected, sound bites that we had collected from the residents of Busia. We want to hear what the people are saying on the ground. You're talking about the ground. Let's go and hear that particular ground. This is the sound bites that we collected earlier on in the bustling Busia town. Let's get to hear.
Na wakati hata wajensi muliona raia na polisi waliona kama adui, na tumeweza kukuja pamoja na strategy ya community policing, tulete polisi pamoja na raia, tufanye kazi pamoja, sababu polisi pia ni watoto ya watu na wanafanya kazi kulingana na mujibu wa sheria. Naye tukasema kwa sababu sisi kama peacemaker tuweze kuelimisha watu country yetu ikuwe na amani, ikuwe na peace, mwingine aelewe mwingine, naye raia asione polisi kama adui, naye polisi asione raia kama mbaya. Information inatoka kwa hiyo community. Ni lazima tuchukue vitu ambayo inatendeka kwa community, tulete kwa police, then police wachukue hatua, tuweze kuleta watu waishi na amani.
Tunaomba tukue na amani, tunaomba tukue na peace katika roho zetu. Kitu cha kwanza tutangulie kujua roho yetu iko aje. Kitu inafanya mtu anaenda kufanya vitu ya nguvu ya vita na kuanga kuanzia kwa roho ya mtu. Sasa sisi tungeomba Kenya ikuwe na amani, ili pia sisi tuishi kwa amani, tukae kwa manyumba zetu vizuri, tulale na usingizi. Hatulali usingizi kwa sababu hatuna amani. Hujui ni saa ngapi watakuingilia, ni saa ngapi watakuua. Tunaomba tu amani Kenya ikuwe. Saa hii tunahangaika, huna kazi, umekaa kwa nyumba, mtoto amefukuzwa shule, hata kibaki shilingi 10 anarudishwa.
Hapa Busia kuna amani, lakini kulingana na venye majenzi wanaandamana, tunaona tu kama tunaenda kukosa amani. Sasa sisi kama wanabiashara tungependa tu kama president adumisha amani na waongeleshe kama vijana, ili amani izidi kukua. Kama kuna amani, biashara inaweza endelea na hata uchumi ya nchi inaweza kuwa mzuri.
Sasa kama mimi naweza serikali chukua hatua kubwa, iingilie katikati, sisi kama vijana magenzi, hata watu kama ile kazi mtaani walikuwa wameka mara kwanza hiyo, waregeshe kazi mtaani, at least tupate kaunga. Mbona sasa unga hata kwa ndoa hakuna champion, baada hakuna
mambo ya corruption ndio tuko nayo tu sana. Mpapata hii government haiwezi meka. Imejaribu kuleta hiyo nini lakini hiyo ni pako tu anapiga. Ukiona mtu akienda pale unapata bado ni ule. Unapata kama masongo yetu. Unapata mtu ajai kutoka kwa gava, akona karibu 50 years. Ukikuja hivi kampeni ametuonga hapa tu nyingi. So mbili so tatu tunasema huyo ndio kusema akifika pale amekisa. Ambapo sisi historia ya Kenya na hata ule tashinda. Hata unaona majenzi wa kutunga right juu unapata mtu umeenda chuo umemaliza hauna kakitu. Job ukienda pale unakuwa gabi. Ngoja na story inaenda na maisha zipene.
Sisi kama vijana, si vijana tuko hapa karibu vijana 50, hatuna hata kazi na hatuna amani. Huwezi kuwa na amani na huna kazi.
Majenzi ndio hao hawataki kwenda shule, maskari wanapiga watoto wetu usiku. Tuko na serikali lazima iotokolee watoto wetu kama hawa. Watoto wanapanda gari, hata gari inaweza ua watoto kwa barabara na hata tuwaelewi akili yao iko wapi.
Kama mimi ndio niko hapa hivi na niona sina job na nini KBC. Na hapa serikali ya sahi vijana hapo wengine si tumechoka na tuna job na tunapata hao. Kama serikali inaweza ingia katikati hapo kutuangalia sisi tuko na makaratasi watu employ tupate job.
Conversations that we're having with them for the transgenerational conversation ahead of this particular town hall, which has started. If you're just joining us, this is the 4th edition of Transgenerational Conversation live from Busia County, especially from the Farmview Hotel. But let me head over to the Reverend. Reverend, you've just heard, those were just a click of soundbite. We'll get more from our audience here. The issues they were raising, one is unemployment, two is insecurity, but the other issue that has come out very strongly is in terms of how the political class have fueled some of the situations that we witnessed in this country. The church has been vocal about how the political class carry out themselves across the country. So in terms of nipping this in the bud, what shall be done not only by NCIC but from the security forces?
Where there is no peace and where there is no peace and
there is no peace without work. That is one. I guess that is what one of the residents said. Yeah, there can never be peace without any work.
So it's just religious leaders to take time to pray for that and also to give knowledge, because the Bible says, Hosea, watu wangu wanaangamia kwa kukosa maarifa. So as much as we need government to employ and there's no vacancy for agencies, what we should do should also pray for the youth agencies to get skills, to be trained how they can manage their own business, to be empowered. As much as they get knowledge from the church, they should be empowered. If they'll be empowered, I think this thing of people lacking peace will at least reduce. Just to empower them and pray for them and give them knowledge.
Okay.
They should be empowered.
Okay. Director, you've just heard there is no peace without work. How is that correlating?
Yes, Abdi. If the citizens and the young citizens at that are not engaged in employment, then they will find, idle hands could be used to create evil. So if you don't engage them productively, then therefore they'll be able to be used to spew hate speech, to be used by politicians. But also it's important that the government creates an enabling environment for these young people to be able to get employment. They have to create, infrastructure, provision of energy, so that the young people and the private sector especially is able to invest and employ these young people. So the government also has a role to ensure that the environment is conducive to be able for the private sector to create more employment. And as was mentioned by Boniface, the border sector is employing a large population of the youth. So that is an avenue that the youth can take. The youth can also use different social media platforms. As a commission, we're a bit alarmed at the spread of hate speech and radical ideologies online. So the youth should use social media platforms responsibly, and they can use that as an avenue of employment. I think Kenyans have ranked one of the highest users of social media in the world. So they can use their numbers as a means of employment and as a means of countering even hate speech on social media.
And in terms of responding to that as well, Sarah, is it that we are programmed when you finish school, you have to wait for a white-collar job? Why can we not venture in such avenues the director is talking about, social media? You witnessed what happened last year. A few Gen Zs came together in their thousands, contributed almost to 10 million Kenyan shillings online, and they did their merchandise and everything. So why can we not tap into that?
Yes, I will agree with you, but I'll say it starts with mindset. We've had this the traditional narrative that once I'm done with my high school, then I need to go to university, and after university I need to get a job, a white-collar job. But through initiatives of different local grassroots youth organizations, we've seen them come up strongly and advocate for, if not university, what next? We have seen people talking about now the issue of having TVETs, empowering and putting strong infrastructure in TVETs, because we have so many youths who are down here that, yes, some have even passed their exams, but they do not have money or resources to pursue their education, which can put them, we always say that education is an equalizer, but sometimes that phrase doesn't work. And so for me, it will be to encourage the young people to diversify their sources of income in terms of looking, if I cannot make it to the university, I can't make it to get a white-collar job, what else can I do? I can acquire a skill. We should empower them with skills and enabling avenues and environment that can help them as they diversify in skills development. They can also get market linkages, because I have seen, like in our organization, we empower teen and young mothers in skills development. We've supported over 5,250 in the last 3 months in soft skills. But then after they are done, they come back to us and ask us, where are the avenues, where are the opportunities? So we really need to come up with structures, policy. We need to influence policies that work for us. And in this policy formulation and development, let us engage these young people so that they can tell us the exact challenges that they are facing. Why is it not working? Why have we been using the traditional ways and they are not working? These youths, one of the things that they carry with them is creativity. They are very creative, they are very innovative, and that is something that the government can capitalize on.
And let me go to Boniface, given that he has proven to us he's a good mathematician. You have heard from one of the residents of Busia clearly stating that some of them will have to wait for the politicians kukuja kuwahonga so that they can do whatever they were told to do. So in terms of ensuring, because we have seen how the politicians have misused, especially the border sector, so what are you doing differently here as the leadership of Busia that the other leaders in different counties can implement?
Thank you so much. I'm doing a lot of things as a chair to a border sector. You see, a border sector is a sector that is 85% youth. So, and I want to confirm to you that even during the last demonstrations, Busia is the only country that never participated in such type of demonstration. And the reason was very simple. We are engaging youths. We are engaging these guys. We are talking to them. Maybe the only thing I would like to tell my fellow young people is that we should always learn to be good students of our social life. So everything that we do today should be a lesson, and I think and a stepping stone towards the life that we admire. One of the most important things I've learned from my fellow youth is that when you meet them, when you meet and start talking about various issues and the challenges that affect youth, every youth believes that they need to live life different from the way they are today. And that can only be realized by changing the mindset. Any change starts with the mind. And as my sister has just said, you see, sometimes when you're not at peace, you see cracks on almost everything. And that's why you see majority of those who went on the street to participate in GNC demonstrations, a majority of them were unemployed, not because they are not learned, they are qualified and they have papers. Secondly, there are those who maybe they didn't went to school, but they are looking even the simple casual jobs and they're not getting it. And because of reasons that are well known.
Okay.
So I think it's about time the government start thinking otherwise. Engaging youth, creating more job opportunities, improving the livelihoods of those who didn't went to school, and creating other informal jobs to make sure that they elevate youth that are especially in rural areas.
Okay. Before I go to the audience, let me talk to the Reverend. Reverend, and going back to that issue of the politicians themselves, because you heard what the director is saying, some of the issues they witnessed online mostly has been fueled by the political class in this country. And sorry to say this, some of those politicians come to your churches and spew the same hate speech even before God and at the pulpit. So as churches, what are you doing about that?
In fact, they come and do that, but as a church, what we should do, we should also sensitize them, because what they are doing to our youth is not something that can bring development for them. It is ruining them. So they need also, politicians need also to be sensitized or to be trained and be told that what they are doing is wrong. They are spoiling these people.
But the question is, why is the church giving them an avenue to speak about that hate speech?
Because, handouts. These handouts make us to accept them to come in. And it's just poverty, let me say. It's just poverty.
Okay. Thank you for that. And of course, we're continuing with this particular conversation. Especially talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 using the hashtag Amanikwa Ground, and surely will be samples, some of the views. But let's get to join in the audience that are currently here with us so that they can pose their questions and comments to the panelists here. Okware, over to you.
Thank you so much, Abdiaziz Hashim, na bila shaka nilikuwa nimeahidi ya kwamba nitakuwa nawapa wananchi kuuliza maswali, na tunavyofahamu ni kwamba hapa kuna makundi mbalimbali, hivyo basi utaniruhusu tu nianzie hapa mbele, manake kunaye mwakilishi wa walemavu na ambaye anajulikana kama Metrin. Hivyo basi utaniruhusu tu nielekee upande huu angalau tupate maoni yake kuhusiana na hili swala. Tafadhali utasimama utueleze tu mchango hasa kuhusiana na wale watu ambao wana ulemavu. Nitakushikia.
Asante sana kwa fursa hii ambayo umenipatia ili niweze kuzungumzia kwa hili swala nyeti ambalo ni swala la amani. Kwanza kabisa nikiongelea juu ya walemavu, mimi ni Metrin Wamalwa vile mmesema, nasimamia walemavu, nafanya kazi na shirika la walemavu National Council for Persons with Disabilities, na tuna changamoto mbalimbali ambazo zinawakumba walemavu. Kwa mfano mahali hapa tulipo, kama kuna jambo lolote limeweza kutokea, mimi kama mlemavu ni mimi nitabaki nyuma, ni mimi nitaachwa, na ni mimi ambaye nitapata shida zaidi. Kwa hivyo sisi kama walemavu ama watu ambao tunawafanyia kazi walemavu, tunasema ya kwamba kila mahali panafaa kuwa na amani, na kila mmoja anafaa kupewa nafasi inayostahili katika maisha yake. Tukiangalia katika walemavu, wana changamoto nyingi sana, hata shule zao hazipatikani kila mahali. Sasa unapata ya kwamba wengi hawajaenda shule, na wengi wanapatikana pale kwa street ili kwa sababu ya kuomba ili kuweza kujikimu ama kupata chakula chao cha kila siku. Hata wengine wameweza kusoma lakini hawajapata employment. Changamoto si haba.
Asante sana. Asante. Huyo amekuwa ni anawakilisha tu wale ambao wana ulemavu, na vile vile kunaye mwakilishi kutoka katika sekta ya kibinafsi. Utasimama tu, utazungumza lugha ambayo ungependa, ujitambulishe kwanza, utaangalia upande ule.
Thank you, Nancy Okware and KBC. My name is Bivas Ogola, Director, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's the government for the private sector. I sit on the Busia chapter. For there to be peace and cohesion, and so that we're able to bridge this transgenerational crisis as a nation. I know by and large we have gotten it well, but apart from, I will speak about, I'll give 2 points. One touches around the policy framework, especially the investment, climate or environment in Kenya is not futuristic. We need to do a lot of robust changes on taxation policy. We need to implement the national taxation policy. We need to give the young people, for those who will be players in the private sector, those that because the government cannot employ 100% for the young people, but the young people, given resources, given the good climate investment environment or policy, they can be able to begin companies and employ themselves. So on policy, we need to do something, and we can even benchmark on the best countries like Singapore. We can benchmark with the UK, can benchmark with the Asian tigers, and all those that have succeeded well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution. I'll also be speaking to a representative from the civil society so that she can give us her views. Tueleze jina lako na swali lako ama maoni yako kuhusiana na haya mazungumzo. Utaangalia upande ule.
Okay, thank you. My name is Brenda Kemo from Baridi kwa Baridi Women CBO. I'm representing Busia CSO, and as a CSO, we believe in a multi-sectoral approach, whereby we have a number of CSOs who are doing various things on the ground to ensure the abstinence of war and insecurity. For example, we have a number of organizations who are doing livelihood strengthening to ensure that the root causes of peace and security is well taken care of.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Kama tulivyosema ni mazungumzo baina ya vizazi na tutasikia pia kutoka kwa vijana, lakini upande huu kunaye mwakilishi wa wazee, ikiwa nitasema hivyo. Tueleze jina lako na mchango wako kwa kifupi sana.
Kwa tadhima kuu na waenzi nyote ambao mko mahala hapa, kwa jina langu naitwa Richard Okelo Walehwa, nikiwa nawakilisha wazee katika kikao hiki. Ingawaje mimi sio mzee kabisa, but I am an old man. Kwa hivyo ningependa tu kushukuru Mungu kwa sababu ya kuwa katika kaunti ya Busia. Kwa kimombo ama lugha ya watu wa mayai, Busia is a cosmopolitan county. Na tunashukuru kwa sababu tumewakaribisha watu wengi sana kuja mahala hapa. Na pengine kama wangekuja, tungekuwa bado tunaishi na manyani. Wao ni wawekezaji wamekuja kutusaidia kudevelop this country, this county, na tunasema karibuni sana. Na ningependa wazee wote, wale wanaonishinda na wale ambao tunatoshana nao, tuweze kukubaliana na hao watu ya kwamba tuishi nao bila kupingana. Lakini pia ngoja kidogo, ningependa tukuongea kwa vijana na wazee wenzangu. Lugha ambayo tunatumia huenda ndio inaleta mambo ambayo yanaleta tofauti kati yetu. Wazee tujue jinsi ambavyo tunaongea na vijana pia tujue jinsi ambavyo tunaongea na wazee, tuweze kuishi vizuri. Swali la mwisho, dada yangu, kwa NCIC, do you have any powers to deal with those who go against what you stand for, or you are just a toothless dog that is engaged in endless rhetoric? Thank you.
Asante sana. Nitakuwa narejea kupata maswali zaidi, lakini kwa sasa naarifiwa tuelekee kwake Abdiaziz Hashim aelekeze maswali upande huo, hasa swali ambalo limerushwa upande wa NCIC.
And of course, I want to start with the NCIC here directly, given that the of course was an eyebrows. Are you a toothless dog?
Abdi, NCIC is a creature of statute. We derive our mandate and our powers from the National Cohesion Integration Act. So we cannot act ultra-vires, we cannot act outside the mandate we are given. So we, in terms of prosecution, we might not have a mandate to prosecute. So if teeth equates to prosecution powers, then we are toothless. However, we have powers to investigate issues of hate speech, and we then forward these files to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. So it is a relay. We do our bit and we pass the baton to the next institution to do their bit. I like what the lady from the CSO said. It's a multi-sectoral approach. Everybody must play their part. So as NCIC, we will carry out investigations and then forward the files to the ODPP. But I also must mention that the law that created the NCIC mandates us to carry out alternative dispute resolution. So before any file is forwarded to the ODPP, we must carry out what is known as conciliation. We must invite the affected parties to a meeting and give them an opportunity to explain their side of the story and possibly to give an apology. So a lot of times that is the route that this case is taken, but it's not something that we want to do. It is what the law mandates us to do. Yes, Abdi.
Okay, and let me give Sarah a chance to respond to some of the issues that have been raised there. As we prepare the DCC to respond to an issue in terms of the trust between the police and the public itself, because that is a major issue that has been raised not only by our audience members, but the voices that we're listening to earlier. Now, Sarah, as you respond, the other issue that has been brought up in terms of how we are addressing let me say, the older generation, is the language our problem?
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that it is entirely the language. It's just that we have not drawn the point of convergence between the older generation and the younger generation. As a younger generation, we have our own dynamics. We have things that speak to us, characteristics that make us complete, while the older generation is known for the wisdom, holding the cultural, the history, the history that of this particular town or this particular county. But for me, I think the issue that is bringing a lot of heat is the issue of, yes, we are preaching for peace. The young people are asking for peace, but then we do not look for avenues, create proper avenues for justice. We have had cases where young people have been assaulted, young people have been injured during demonstrations, even when it is peaceful demonstrations, and none of them have, even in their pursuit for justice, they've received justice. And so this makes us angry. It makes us angry to feel that no one is listening. And unfortunately, the people in power happen to be most from the older generation. So to some point, it makes them feel that when we are pursuing for justice, asking for questioning our rights, they feel like we are disrespecting them. They are not giving us an opportunity to explain and demonstrate what exactly we mean. But if that avenue was given, I am sure would sit down, speak, discuss, find a point of convergence, ask ourselves, what is not happening? What are you doing? What am I doing? Because this should be some form of partnership. You understand where you come from, I understand where I come from. When I raise my grievances, you are able to listen and tell me what can work and what cannot work. Because also the other thing that has contributed to that is we've been given mostly false promises.
We'll be getting to that. And of course, the other question I'll be posing to, of course, Boniface, is another issue that has been raised in various forms, such as the one we're having. But let's head over to the DCC. Bwana DCC, the issue of insecurity, you can respond to that, but the main issue is the trust deficit between police officers and the people of this country, not only in Busia. So what are Ngao doing about that?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the issues that you have raised. Issues of security. I want to confirm that through community policing, we engage the youths. More so, even if you talk to the Border Association, we normally have meetings, we normally have conversation on security issues. And as our former president said, your security begins from you. So it begins with you. So once you have intelligence report about insecurity in your area, you report to the nearest government agency, who are Ngao, the assistant chiefs, the village elders, and then it is escalated now to the police, to the level of the police station, who are going to take action. I want to say that we have tried our best. In terms of security, you cannot say that you can be 100% correct, but given that this is a border county, we have challenges because of the porosity of the border and the interaction in terms of culture, of different cultures and different laws of the other country and this other country. So it calls for concerted efforts by both our people and the community. I want to add on that our youths should also come forward and give us information. Let them be informed about government policies. For example, now there is a Nyota program that is ongoing in this country that government is giving out seed through money seed of 50,000 for 7th youths in every ward in the country, and it has begun as a pilot here in Western Kenya, the four counties in Western, Busia included. So we want the youth to come forward, interact with us. We will be able to assist them in terms of guiding them and making sure that at least those who are able. Defects are everywhere. Let's encourage our youths to be able to use their hands. Let them work, because if they are not able to work, then it will be very difficult even to build the economy of our country. These are the people we depend on them, because some of us are almost retiring. Once we retire, we need these people to take up the mantle. And the only way that we are going to bring all of us on board is through such conversation, so that they know exactly. Because the government cannot be able to absorb all the youths. You can imagine, during our time, about 10,000 students used to go to university. Now we are talking about 200,000 by year graduating from the university, and the vacancies are almost the same. So I think this is a conversation we need to ask each other, which is the way forward. Otherwise, our security officers are up to the task. We are trying. And the government even now has announced recruitment of police officers. We want to encourage the youths, those who are patriotic, to apply and be able to join us, at least fight.
Okay, and let me toss it now to Boniface. Boniface, you just heard what the DCC is saying in terms of rebuilding the trust between security forces and the citizenry they are sworn to serve. So in terms of the step that they're supposed to take, you've just heard what the DCC is saying. They are ready to listen to you. Will you take your issues there?
Very true. We've been taking our issues there. We've been having meetings. We've been having conversations. The only thing I want fellow Kenyans to understand is that even these police officers are human beings. Police officers are our brothers, our sisters. Police officers are our relatives. So they are people that when you engage them well, they can listen to you. One of the problems we've had is that some of the problems we are going through, especially with the police officers, some of them are very generational. Right from corruption, right from governance, right from social protection. Some of these problems are there because, let me just give an example of what is happening right now. You see, the other day, CS for Interior stepping on a serious jukwaa of Salama and justifying an officer requesting a fuel from a citizen who is paying taxes. In the other way, you see now the CS is normalizing corruption. You see a cabinet secretary for Interior sits in the highest policy-making organ, chaired by the president himself, and he has all the avenues, including the privileges of getting into the assembly and requesting for more funds. What is a finance bill for? We even have supplementaries. So sometimes when they speak, you see a CS is a policymaker. And sometimes what he says has the tenderness of becoming a law. So when you make it that when what you have been given by the government has been depleted, now you demand from the citizen, it becomes norm. And therefore becomes a challenge that might take us years and generations to solve in future.
Okay, and let me toss it now to Reverend before I go back to my colleague Nancy Okwari. Reverend, is there hope?
In the section of security?
Yes.
Not much.
Why so?
Because the people have already portrayed negative attitude to the security officers. So whenever they do anything, they are not positive to them. They can't accept them. Because like the other day, I was traveling to Mumias. I saw a vehicle with the police officers. They were following after the vehicle that had, this vehicle that takes things from border. I don't know where they take. So they were following each other, the vehicle was running fast and the other one of the police also was running fast. When they reached somewhere, that vehicle stopped, the one that was carrying goods. And the police ones also had reached that place. So the agencies surrounded the police vehicle and wanted to put in fire. So, and the police had guns, so they had to shoot bullet what? bullet rubber. So as they shot that thing, they wanted money, you see? They wanted money at that time. So as travelers, we really felt so bad because it was not genuine. Because how come that this vehicle has come from all the way from border, then it is being chased up to a ginger down there? What has happened? So the security is not all that much well.
Okay, we'll also accord the DCC and other officials who are here with us to respond to some of the comments you have made. We're keeping tabs on the online platforms. I can see people watching all the way from Mandera, Garissa, as well as Wajir. Kindly send in your comments or your questions posing to the, of course, that we have here so that they can respond to it for this particular conversation. We'll be sampling some of the views. We're also live on our YouTube channel, that is KBC Channel 1, if you're not closer to a set. Now, I want to hand you over to my abled colleague, that is Rose Were. Rose, good evening, and over to you.
Good evening, Abdi. Thank you, our panelists and our audience. I would like to appreciate some of our partners who are here and those who are also not here but are part of these conversations: the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Interreligious Council of Kenya, IRCK, represented by Reverend there. On the national government, there's the DCC Busia, Mr. Solomon Chesut has been speaking. We have the representative of the Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce, the director, Bevans Ogola, is here. We have the director of PWDs, the National Council of People with Disabilities, Director Metrin Wamalwa. We have the Director of Baridi Kwa Baridi, Maureen Ayodi, and her colleague. And last but not least, we have Farmview Hotel team, Dan Kubasu, the Marketing Director, Mr. Monari and your team. Thank you so much for hosting us. Na tunasema si kila siku saa za vita. Sio kila siku tunapiga vita. We can have dialogue. And that is why we are having these transgenerational conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Gutuka Theatre Group, their youth from Busia County. Take it away.
JB. Hii blog yangu nayo leo imeweza bro. Blog imeweza. Manduru. Sema kuopi kwani? Umeoki by nini tena? Sema wazee kumnyakua opportunity.
Wamekula tena.
Check likes. Sema Barbara kuteke. Sudi dami yangu. Wewe ni Barbara bro. Opportunity yako imeenda. Barbara. Paka mzee na maziwa bro. Mzee sina mjua. Kwa sababu mzee hapa chini mwenyewe kila opportunity ananyakua, ya siasa ananyakua.
Mbona mzee asifanye hivi?
Opportunity yako bro. Wamenyakua bro.
Mzee ni za moyo wapi?
Bibi wawili.
Wacha kuchochea mzee ni za moyo.
Bwana tumkute bro.
Hello. Imbogi tunadili na mzee. Hizi mwetu.
Doi.
Okay. Kuja hapa. Shenzisha.
Kuja. Kwanza simu leta simu hiyo.
Simu.
Kaa chini. Siasa. Mapenzi yetu pia unaoka pale.
Hapa ni please.
Budako unashikana hivi leo.
Tulipiga sikia birthday hii picha. Ninatreka hapa ndo maneno.
Baba, mzee unashika msichana wako hivi.
Pole. Ni jamaa kuja hapa.
Ameleta shida. Sijajua mzee pole.
Kijana.
Mimi kujenga leo.
Pole. Ona bila
Huyu baba.
Alafu hii kitu ulimelipa?
Mimi nilipata tu kwa social media. Mimi nikaduke jani, picha kadunda, mimi nikapost kwa nini? Kajenga likes.
Kijana ifai hivyo. Inakuwa na verify. Kingine tunakuwa na ile
tunakupiga mtu kama kuhakikisha
Mario ukitenda hivyo uko na mimi sina shida nawasamea. Unajua lazima tuko na mazungumzo. Transgenerational conversation. Moja kwa moja kwa wazee na vijana. Vita hii tunachoma nchi jamani, tunachoma nchi.
Kama ina nafasi za ajira ambayo unazungumza, tunaweza kaa chini wanajamii tukaongea jinsi ambavyo tutasaidia vijana kwa ajira. Alafu swala lingine ulikuwa unasema ile ilikuwa nini? Ukosefu kwa nini?
Unachukua kwa kazi za vijana opportunity.
Hiyo tunaweza ongea tukazungumza. Unaona kama serikali kuu na hii serikali kama nisaidia vijana. Lakini ukaenda kuchukua mamlaka kwa moja mzee.
Asemi yako ilikuwa ni
hata ndio naomba tushikane mikono pamoja ili tulete amani. Yaani tunasema amani wapi? Mashinani, sio? Yaani amani mtaani, sio? Kila mahali kuhubiri amani.
Hata mimi nimeona kwa mtandao. Ndio ni post picha. Lazima nijue kwenda nikuulize.
Haina shida. Kitu cha msingi hapa kwamba tuanze kudumisha amani, si ndio? Na picha na fujo haileti amani, si ndio? Kwa hiyo mimi nataka moja kwa moja sasa hivi tuweze kukutana na wanajamii wengine wanalika kama nyinyi, vijana kama nyinyi ambao mna ajira, si ndio? Kwa hiyo pamoja tuanze kuhubiria amani.
Sio swali mzee. Sio tubonge. Sio tubonge.
Kwa kweli kwanza mate beba mejaa. Yaani umeniona tulikuwa KBC. Ni mimi nimebeba plani. Ni mimi mate. Na nahubiri amani. Hata pia nakuhubiri amani. Amani mtaani.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We're coming to you live from the Farm View Hotel here in Busia County, continuing with the 4th edition of the Transgenerational Conversation. Let me get a couple of your tweets that you're currently sending from us, and of course, continue sending them. We'll be sampling them. I see here Ivy Moon clearly stating that the Busia Town Hall Gen Zs are challenging stereotypes during transgenerational conversation, showing courage and clarity. We also do have Casio, who says the transgenerational conversation in Busia Town Hall is not just a talk. Gen Zs and elders share stories, experience and ideas that will anchor Kenya on values of peace, dialogue and a shared responsibility. And of course, we'll be sampling some of your views as the session continues. But let's get more views from our audience here. Okware, over to you.
Thank you so much, Abdi Aziz Hashim. Maswali ni mengi sana. Ameinua mkono sana. Utasimama, utueleze jina lako, swali lako kwa kifupi sana.
Shukran. Kwa majina mimi naitwa Joseph Omkoya. Baadhi ya vijana ambayo wamezaliwa katika mji huu wa Busia. And my question goes to the NCIC desk. Are there any success stories or best practices that you guys can share with us? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me go this way. Ulikuwa umeinua mkono, angalau tupate sauti ya vijana. Utasimama, your name and your question.
My name is Maureen Odongo, Director, iChild Africa. Mine is just a request that post this engagement, we want to see our duty bearers seated there, leading us so that we can be able to engage with them and tell us our real-time problems from us. Because you see that there's a gap between us and our duty bearers. Number two, when it comes to succession, tumeambiwa age ya youth ni 18 to 34. Alafu tunasukumwa to participate. Lakini wase wengine wakatilia kwa kiti wataki kutoka. So when do we get to this employment kama wale wazee wakatilia kwa kiti? They can just mentor us, then watoke sisi tuendelee na maisha.
Asante sana. Utasimama tu, swali fupi sana. Jina lako and what your question is.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for this invitation. Majina naitwa Kevin Ojuro. I also want to touch on unemployment. And tumefurahi sana, at least you have touched on that issue. But I also want to say about something that affects us so much, about GBV. Women are being killed. Not only just a lady, we also have to focus so much on both cases. We also have to talk about mental health. It's a big problem. Vijana sahi they kill themselves. They go to an extent of killing each other, kill themselves. We want to see on how the government or through NCIC on how they're going to improve and try to make that awareness through that program. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I see the questions are so many. Utasimama, jina lako, sekunde 10 tafadhali.
Okay, kwa majina naitwa Roselinelli Wandaki. I'm a mental health activist, and I just want to talk about the church. As youths, ama watu wote wa jamii, the only place they can find peace is in the church. Now, if the church is now accepting handouts na wamesahau kumenda hawa youths na kuwapea hope ya maisha, then where are we running to? And that's why you find so many young people are committing suicide. Hapo nyumbani wazazi wakipigana, there is no peace. Mtoto akienda shule hawezi perform kwa sababu kuna depression, ana suffer stigma. The only place I can go and find peace ni kwa pastor. So pastor kama anakubali handouts, maybe because anapata pia challenges zake, cause pia yeye anafaa kofia mingi, yeye ni baba wa pale nyumbani, ni bwana, na pia wale Wakristo wote wanataka kupata hope kutoka kwake. Pia yeye anapitia hiyo depression. So where do we run to as the church?
Thank you so much. Utaniruhusu nichukue maswali kutoka upande huu, manake hawajauliza maswali. Utasimama, jina, sekunde 10.
Asante sana. Kwa majina ni Sheikh Alingua, the chair person Peace and Reconciliation, na mimi nimefanya kazi na National Cohesion and Integration Commission muda mrefu sana. My question is from our able director. Why is it that sisi watu wa NCIC tunangoja wakati ukielekea kwa election ndio tunakuwa more active? Another question goes direct to the boda. Ni kwa nini ikifika wakati wa siasa, wanasiasa wanawatumia nyinyi boda kwa kupiga wananchi ambao kwamba hawana hatia? Asante.
Asante sana kwa maswali hayo. Utasimama, jina lako, kisha nitachukua upande huu. Nitakushikia.
Asante sana. Kwa majina najulikana kama David Ojiambo Katindi. Ninashukuru sana kwa sababu ya mazungumzo ambayo tunanifanya wakati huu. Maswala ya vijana ni maswala mengi, lakini napenda kuzungumzia maswala ya utawala, governance. When the Gen Zs went to the street agitating for the change, walikuwa nauliza kwamba what is the role of the youth in a democratic process? Na nataka kuuliza hilo swali hapa. Je, nafasi ya vijana katika uongozi ni nini? Je, vijana nafasi yao ni kupewa mawe, kurusha, kuvuruga watu, ama vijana hawa wana nafasi katika uongozi? Jambo la mwisho, kwa sababu ya muda, I'll only dispense wisdom in some doses. Ni the issue of the National Youth Council. Because vijana wengi, kitu ambacho kinaleta confusion katika nchi hii ni kwamba the youth are not organized. Ukiangalia wamama wako na vyama vyao, wako na vitu mingi, lakini vijana, there's a lot of confusion. So the National Youth Council, we need to hear some comments about that so that tupange vijana. Thank you.
Asante. Naona una swali ambalo linaonekana kuwa zito sana. Utazungumza tu kwa kifupi sana.
Asante sana. Kwa majina naitwa Karani Kennedy. Na mimi swali langu la kwanza ilikuwa inaenda kwa NCIC. Je, ni hatua gani umechukua kwa kiongozi wa kike wa jimbo la Wajir kulingana na yale matamshi yake ambapo alisema kwamba rais hata kama atapata ile kura watamuibia pite?
Asante. Tumelipata hilo swali. Tutauliza tu swali moja tafadhali. Wacha tuchukue upande huu, jina lako na swali lako kwa kifupi sana.
Okay, naitwa Baraza Emma Amongo. I had a lot of questions, but I'll air one. What strategies does the NCIC employ to promote diversity and inclusion?
Thank you. That was spot on. Straight to the point. Asante. Jina lako, swali lako kwa kifupi sana sana.
Asante. My name is Barnabas Wesonga. I'm the ward administrator for Burumba Ward. Where we are here. Welcome to Burumba Ward. My question goes to the Minister of Education. Because we talked about TVET, the issue of TVET here, and among the champions of TVET and youth skills and employment. Just like they do it in university students know what they're supposed to pay when they are joining to university. The calculation is done. Why can't that be done to TVET students so that the students go there when they know exact fees that they're supposed to pay, instead of charging everything, including what the government is supposed to pay?
Thank you so much. Mtaniruhusu nirejeshe usukani kwake Abdiaziz Hashim. Abdi, usukani ni wako.
Thank you so much. And of course, maswali ni mingi, but masaa ndio machache. Poleni sana. Let's answer some of these questions that have been asked here. Let me start with you, given that most of the 3 questions that have been posed to NCIC. Start off with the Wajir woman representative on the remarks she made, and as well as when it comes to the electioneering period, aside from the by-election that is coming, 2027 polls, NCIC seems to be active. And finally, some of the success stories quickly.
Yeah, so with regards to the women rep, the question by Karani, we definitely did receive a complaint about the utterances she made. And the utterances definitely have an impact on peaceful coexistence in the country. We are all well aware that the 2007-2008 post-election violence was a result of rigging of elections, one of the allegations. So there are actions that the Commission is taking. I may not be at liberty to mention them all right now, but there's definitely action that's been taken against the women rep. With regards to why we are only active during elections, I think this forum definitely shows that we are not. We're about 2 years before elections, and NCIC is on the ground. We are already engaging citizens towards having good governance and accountability. But it's also important to note that elections are also a source of violent conflict within the country. Therefore, perhaps that is why you'll notice that the Commission is more active during elections, because as a country we've noticed that every time that there's elections, we have quite a bit of violence. So that is why our work is more pronounced just before elections.
Okay.
With regards to successes, that's quite a wide question, but probably the most one I can point out to is the past elections. The Commission had a strategy known as Ushaguzi Bila Noma, and it had various pillars within that strategy. And we can safely say that the past elections are one of the safest, one of the most peaceful elections that we have witnessed as a country.
Okay.
And a lot of that can be attributed towards the programs that were put in place by the Commission.
Okay. Finally?
Okay.
Okay. And of course, I want you to answer quickly on the story when it comes to GBV, not only to the girl child, but to the boy child, which has been witnessed. But you see, men cannot come out most of the time and say, enyewe tumepigwa.
Abdi, on the issues of GBV, I'm a passionate advocate and champion of fight against GBV. And when we talk about GBV, we do not only mean GBV towards women. This is a cross-gender issue. And yes, I agree that we've had an increase in numbers of men who are being battered, men who are being abused, and even boys. And here, just right here in Busia, from the data that we have in the last 3 months, we've seen an increase in GBV cases. But as young people, as a youth-led organization, together with other partners and actors, we've come up with a multi-sectoral approach where we are engaging the national government through the Office of the County Commissioner, the county government, the gender experts, the community themselves, to see what is happening or what is not happening in terms of GBV. We've also increased our sensitization measures in terms of creating awareness around GBV, sensitizing the community on the referral mechanisms or referral pathways. What should they do whenever a case of GBV happens? And we've also talked and sensitized the duty bearers who or the service providers to know that when these cases come to their attention, then they need to act on them with speed. Apart from that, we know that these cases of GBV end up increasing the rate of mental health issues. So we've also come up with mechanisms where we are offering psychosocial support to the survivors of GBV issues or GBV cases.
Okay, thank you. Boniface, quickly, in just under 1 minute, just respond to that issue that has been raised, that border borders are being used by the political class.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me start by saying that to be sincere, and someone else can testify to this, almost 95% of boda guys are very good people. They are just type of people that get out of their homes to go and do business. One of the problems we've had is a few criminal elements trying to invade the sector and try to create scenarios to look like all bodas are very bad people. I think Bana SEC, with the conversations and engagement we've had, you can also testify to this. One of the challenges we've had is the political class. So I think it's also about time we start reasoning with them together. Okay. But again, as a county chair, there are a number of things we've been doing together with these politicians. We've been trying to sensitize our members, try to tell them that now, let us try to treat boda as a business, not actually as goods for hire. And actually, I can testify that one again with the reference with the demonstration that we just had recently. We talked to them, okay, and they adhered to the sensitizations that we gave them, okay, and I can confirm to you that we had a very positive impact. And okay, moving forward, I can tell you that we are going to do more engagements together with them and other leaders. Okay. So to make sure that now boda does not become like a goods for hire, okay, but a business and corporates.
And then finally, Reverend, the key question that came out here is, where do the Gen Zs go if the churches are receiving handouts?
What I can say, the church is a universal, yani kazi ambayo iko na upana.
Okay.
So vile iko na upana, kuna makanisa ama kuna half-baked pastors. So you identify that one that doesn't have those regulations of welcoming such like people in the church. Not all churches do that, but I was just agreeing, because it's something that has been seen. So I can't hide out and say that it doesn't happen. But in some churches it happens, but in other churches, not all churches. So you can find the church that does not have that, does not accept that, and then you get fed.
And thank you so much. And of course, that is none other than Reverend. But we want to read some of the views that are online currently about what they're responding to the show about. I can see somebody clearly stating that the Busia Town Hall is not just a meeting, but a movement. The transgenerational conversation with Gen Zs at the table is proof that intergenerational respect can solve conflict and inspire better governance. Another one here on Twitter is responding that this shows that peace is the strongest when generations stand together. Onaseye states that tonight the transgenerational conversation at Gen Z at Busia Town Hall is a platform for youth voices to be amplified with benefiting from experiences of community elders and leaders. Also, solutions emerge when dialogue is genuine. The transgenerational conversation featuring Gen Zs as well as other generations will explore entrepreneurship, incubation, innovation hubs, and peace building projects designed to benefit every household in Busia. But I'm being informed that we have added at least a little bit of moment. Let me just get your final remarks, 30 seconds each. Let me start with you, Bona NCIC Director. Is there hope going forward? 30 seconds.
Yes, Abby, there's definitely hope. Once we began these conversations, we don't want them to just end here in this hall. Let them be carried over into our homes, into our different CBOs, into our churches. And as the person tweeted said, as long as there's conversation going forward, then we'll be able to find solutions to the different problems that face us as a country. Thank you.
Sarah, 30 seconds quickly.
Yes, there is hope, but my rally call will go to everyone, the community, the government, in ensuring that we localize peace dialogues. We should not just have them at the top, but let's localize them. Let's take advantage of the grassroots organizations that are doing an amazing job, working closely with the communities and the youths, and empower them so that they can continue to amplify this voice. And let's include the young people in the conversations and decision making around peace.
Okay. Boniface, 30 seconds.
Thank you so much. Let me say that thank you again for organizing this transgenerational conversation. This is a conversation that we pray that continues, not only to target now that we are heading towards an election, but to make sure that we sustain it and also reach out to a bigger number of youth.
Okay. 30 seconds, Reverend, your final words.
I request that we have to continue with this conversation in different counties or sub-counties also, so that we can call upon our youth and parents and all youth, the religious leaders, so that we can have one voice of singing that we should have peace in our country or in our county.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, and I congratulate you, panelists, as well as the audience. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening. This has been live through KBC Channel 1, especially on our YouTube channel. If you want to revisit that particular discussion or see yourself and tell your people back at home to see you, you can go to our YouTube channel there. Thank you so much. And of course, we had Reverend Mariam Hamisi. She is the NCCK board member. Also, Boniface Okumu, the chairperson, Busia County Boda Boda Association, as well as Sarah Martha. She's the executive director, Thamira Moja, CBO, and then finally our NCIC Director of Investigations and Compliance, Mr. James Wanyande. Thank you all for making time for us. Once again, thank you, audience, and to your viewers. I've sampled some of your views, but continue the conversations online. This particular transgenerational conversation has just hit. This is the 4th county. You never know that will be coming to your county next. That concludes our discussions this evening. My name is Abdiaziz Hashem, and on behalf of my colleagues, that is Nancy Okware, as well as Rose Were, and the big team from KBC that has made this possible, we want to wish you a good evening, but don't go too far. Prime Edition is up next.